I believe there are only a small minority of us who would welcome any kind of wilderness experience, whether physical or spiritual for that matter. It seems so counterproductive. Out here, there is no indoor plumbing. The only mode of communication is face-to-face. You must live on as little as possible, and manual labor is a necessity.
It's real! They said it wouldn't happen! It's a real fire! A Whisky Fireside shot with a real fire! It's not one of those screens behind me or... Alright, I have some whiskey. I don't know what it is. It was randomly given to me.
I can't drink all this.
Oh, I can't drink all this, I'm driving. But we'll at least put a little...
Can we share?
Sure, which one?
The one I can see, that one.
Okay. Alright, there we go. Whiskey Fireside chat. I don't have any water for you to put in there.
Don't use water.
So it's this one. And someone
Don't
gave
trip
it to me.
over the real fire.
It was given to me in Red Lake, Ontario, after we flew out of the wilderness. I'm just joking. I'll pick those up. We're at his house in the wilderness. Who are you?
That's a good question.
Cheers, by the way.
Cheers.
All right.
Thank you.
It's not bad. It's not harsh.
Even without water?
Yeah, it could have a little bit.
I don't know it any other way.
Yeah. All right.
Yep.
Oh, he's a whiskey connoisseur already. I don't even know the man. So it's Daryl Phillips.
You got it right?
I got it right?
Yeah.
And I know him because I watch his videos on YouTube. I love his artwork. I love his imagery. I love his passion.
The time just before dusk is usually spent enjoying supper, collecting firewood, maybe a paddle on the still evening lake, and lighting the campfire. It's also a great time to sit on shore with a cup of tea and watch the color of the sky give way from the rich blues of the afternoon to the warm orange and reds of evening. This is the time of day when the cry of the loon seems to be most prevalent and the crickets begin to sing their nightly song.
Well, you tell the story. I'm at this wilderness resort.
How did you end up here?
Oh yeah, no, we got to talk about that. You're doing some artwork and a film on Killarney, and I love Killarney. We're getting ahead of ourselves. So, Daryl, what is your YouTube channel called?
Cedarhouse Films.
CedarHouse Films. And we'll get into that in a bit, but I arrived in this place, and this is Cedarhouse.
Bed and breakfast.
Right. And Cedarhouse, what's that?
Are you familiar with the Bauhaus School?
No?
1920, 1919 it opened in Germany. A school of art and design. I learned about that in art history and was quite fascinated with it. You know, when I thought about a name for the place, I have European roots, and I thought I can't use Bauhaus because it's already taken, but I like cedar, so how about Cedarhouse? So love of woods, trees, cedar trees, and European heritage, and it just had a ring to it.
Great. Cedar is the tree of life.
Yes. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. And now you grew up going through school to be an artist, be a photographer.
Yeah.
What about that?
Studied photography at Fanshawe College in London, and haven't looked back since.
He hasn't. And it's so funny. If you wonder why I like his films so much, it's because your character. You're very deep thinking.
Uh-oh. Sorry
I
about
love
that.
it. You're very artsy. You were very family oriented. You got your kids in a lot of your films. Them growing up too.
Yep.
There are very good reasons for going camping, especially if you have children. Camping and parenting are two activities that, from the outside, appear to be a perverse and willful abandonment of an easy life. Both are messy and demanding adventures. When camping, you can't control the weather, know exactly what site you'll be on, or anticipate the wildlife you'll encounter. Camping is unpredictable, and that's why it is superior to a Disney vacation or a timeshare in Florida. And just like having children, wilderness camping brings challenges and rewards that are unique and enriching.
And was that the intent when you started?
No, it was to inspire people and maybe families to get out in the wild and go on canoe trips and show them that it's actually quite doable. I had my kids out actually in diapers. So when I hear people say I could never do that, I guess that was a bit of a challenge to show them that they can actually do it. So I had some film screenings once. People say that I could never ever do that. So I got quite challenged to say, you know what, I think you could. And if I show you a little bit of how it's done, I think you wouldn't be quite so fearful.
It's true. Like Kala, she went out when she was. It was easier, to be quite honest. First of all, when she wasn't walking, it was easier.
Yes.
Because you knew where they were.
Yep.
They weren't going to go anywhere.
Not fast.
No, they were crawling away from it. But also with diapers, we just take the diaper off and she just walk around and poop, and then we'd pick it up.
Yep.
Okay? We'd do both cloth and disposable, depending.
Yeah, we didn't do a lot of portaging when kids had diapers because that was a bit much, but
We'd always get the diapers in a certain, it was a small barrel that we used. And then when friends went with us, when they weren't looking, I would put it in their canoe.
I was gonna say that would be quite the treat, unpacking that diaper barrel.
Oh, it was disgusting. We did a lot of cloth diapers, but if it was raining for a couple of days.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what got you into this. What is your major passion? Why? You have a, don't you have like a real job?
Not anymore.
Oh, very old.
Used to. No, my real job is being a host of our bed and breakfast. So I built it, then had to market it. Now that we've got guests coming, I have to keep up all the bookings, the cleanings, the shopping.
And the main reason you did that is to escape the business of Southern Ontario.
Yep, moved from St. Catharines up here.
We're in Bancroft.
Yep,
Yeah.
Bancroft, Ontario. Not too far, not too close. Yep, to get up here, get out of the city, raise my two younger kids out of the city, and try to get people, give them a little bit of a break and a respite from the city and come on up here and have a little vacation.
And you said when we were having lunch there, you said, I would be doing my videos and my photography even if nobody ever watched it.
It's true.
Why?
I enjoy the process of making them, especially the process, because you have to actually go to these places to make them, and that's half the fun. And if I get to record it and remember it time and time again after, that's even more fun. And if I get to show it to people and people actually watch, hopefully they're inspired to do the same.
So your whole purpose is to get people out there.
To get people inspired to go, give them a little bit more confidence than they had before they watched the video, that they can actually do it. It's hard, but it's not too hard.
So one of your favorite that I know of by watching your work is Killarney Provincial Park in Ontario, right? You've made a lot of videos on that. You've done Algonquin and things like that.
Yeah.
Last I've been there, Killarney is getting a little busy. So are you working too much at this?
I think, Kevin, you had a head start on me. So you might get the credit or the blame.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, we were talking about that, to be quite honest, just before we put the camera on. And it's a double-edged sword, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So, and I think management will figure that out and how to deal with the crowds.
I'll let them deal with the crowds, and we'll keep doing what we do.
Yeah, because it's important still to get them out.
Yeah.
Especially your videos, like if family based, right? The family, majority of the time, your family's there. What's going to happen? Well, some of your kids are older now, so have they come up to you and said, Dad, that's so embarrassing. I'm on this film. My friends are making fun of me.
Take a picture of me. Take a picture of me. So I'm taking a picture of me? I'm taking a picture of me.
Nope, never ever. They brag about it to their friends because they get to show their friends what they've done and what they used to be like when they were younger.
Now, do they still go out on trip?
You know what? University and young adult kind of puts a damper in that for a while. But I suspect that they'll get back at it. Hopefully I can coerce them to come out again.
They will. They will. I remember my daughter, when she became a preteen, she became an alien.
Yes,
Yeah.
I know that feeling now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, now things are changed. She wants to go out camping with her friends and stuff.
Yeah.
It's great. But
Yeah.
so your carrot is not the monetization of your videos, and you're making millions of dollars.
You can make money from this?
No. Okay.
No, not at all. No, I do it because I love to do it. An artist, I love doing photography and film. I spend far too long editing film, taking pictures, printing photos. But I figure it's better than watching the telly every night.
The daily grind, with all its discoveries, is satisfying, but not as satisfying as the thought of spending a bit of time at the most remote and scenic campsite you could ever imagine. The most dramatic or mysterious part of the day was experienced at the place we called home for only a short period of time. We'd see the sunset over the lake each night, and the following morning we would witness the sunrise over the inland hills. Some nights, after dinner was finished, we'd have an hour or two to explore the area and enjoy everything that the campsite had to offer.
Well, speaking of that, for you doing film, photos or film, which is your preferred? Not your best, but your preferred.
On what day?
Oh,
Inspiration usually is the indicator of what I prefer.
okay. So subject matter.
Subject matter is almost entirely landscape, but I have done architecture before. I've done other things, still life. There's so much out there.
Yeah.
I don't have time to do it all. But when you're pairing it with going on canoe trips, there's not a lot of architectural and still life opportunities out there. So it doesn't happen.
What about your family on a canoe trip? Photos or film?
Lately, unfortunately, film.
That's interesting because you tell everybody what you're up to. You and your partner Scott.
Yeah.
Scott is the person that's with you with the family, but he's not the camera person. You're the voiceover. What does Scott actually do? Does he do anything?
Yes, he does. He does a lot. Scott is very inspiring. Scott and I, we've known each other since university days back in London. He has about the same journey as far as I am, where we got into canoe tripping about the same time. I think I introduced him to it. Can't remember. You can correct me on that later. And so we've gone on trips before, and then each of us got married, had our own families. We each started taking our own families on canoe trips. And now that we've had a little bit more experience with all this, we thought we'd make these films together. So now he helps me with script writing. He writes, composes, and records all the music for it.
That red dotted line of the La Cloche Silhouette Trail that I had noticed so many times before now seemed to lure me with an unexpected urgency. I was inspired to try something I had never done before. I set my sights upon hiking all 80 kilometers of the trail. I didn't want this to be a solo trip, so I decided to run the idea of a 10-day hike and film project by my longtime camping and canoeing friend, Scott Jordan. He had helped me out with a previous film and was with me the first time I canoed into the Killarney backcountry 22 years ago.
He makes lots of suggestions out in the field of what to photograph and what to do. And he's okay with me saying, no, that's not going to work. Just a great support in the whole project.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. And have you noticed throughout time of taking the kids out, have they changed on camera? Do you think the camera changes the trip because they know they're being filmed?
They've had a camera in front of their face since they were born, so they pretty much ignore it. they either ignore it or, so my daughter will mostly ignore it, and my youngest son, he will ham it up for the camera.
No!
He's just a boy. Boys.
He is, he's a typical boy.
We don't grow up, do we?
No, I have to teach him every once in a while that's not appropriate on camera.
I have to tell that to my buddy Ashley and Andy, for heaven's sakes, and myself.
Yes.
So you're going to open up a show, and it's going to be this in Bancroft, right?
Definitely in Bancroft. Hopefully I can take it elsewhere, but that's still up for grabs.
Okay, so tell us about it.
The beginning is, Scott and I first went on that trip to Killarney for the first time 30 years ago this summer. Because it happened to be my oldest. He was born that year as well, 1994. So I said to Scott, we have to do something to celebrate 30 years of backcountry in Killarney. So I thought, well, let's go big. Let's do a photographic exhibition, and let's do a film celebrating the whole thing. So yeah, got a solo exhibition at the Art Gallery of Bancroft in 2026, and working right now on the film, and hopefully that'll be finished for springtime. Hopefully.
So you did a circumnavigation of Killarney.
Yeah, 10 days.
Great trip, great trip.
Yeah.
And then, so you're going to produce that and show it, at, and also your photographs of it.
Yeah.
And is this a gallery in Bancroft?
At the Public Art Gallery of Bancroft, and hopefully, although this hasn't been verified or accepted, hopefully I can show the film at the Village Playhouse here.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
That'd be a lovely place for it.
It is. We showed our Lake Superior Coastal Trail video at the Village Playhouse.
Oh, great.
Yeah, that was a good success.
So what do you say then about this? Like, I look at your stuff very much RC. We talk about Jason Irwin, right?
Yep.
He does similar stuff. And,
Yep.
and he's very talented.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, you don't have a lot of, well, you got some views, but not compared to some other people on,
Nope.
on YouTube. Is that a frustration? I guess it isn't, because she said it doesn't really care who watches it, but
No, it's not frustrating to me because I don't try to get views.
well, that's probably why you don't get views.
Yeah, it's, as I said before, it's a platform for hosting all these videos because I got to put them somewhere. I would prefer people to come to my website to see the videos because then they can also see the photography and possibly inquire about sales. So I would prefer to drive people to my website, but I can't host all those videos on my own website and server because it's too big.
Okay, so YouTube does serve that purpose.
Yeah, it's a nice server for me.
Yeah. Well, I've talked about how your film has a lot family-oriented, family traveling together, wilderness joy, that sort of thing. I also know there's in the lighting, there's a lot of shadowing in a lot of the clips. Not the kids swimming and stuff like that, but a lot of the when you're paddling. Do you shoot like old-fashioned?
What do you mean by shadowing?
It looks like an old film, in one sense.
So I'm not sure if this is what you mean, but sometimes I have used effects to make it look like old 8mm film.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, some I have done that way.
Is there a reason?
Love of the old filming processes. Everyone seems to want 4K and 8K razor sharp stuff. I'm going backwards now. Back to the old processes. Same with the film or the photo exhibition. They won't be what's the term? They won't be inkjet prints, all this modern stuff anymore.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to use an 18th century process of making prints called salted paper prints. So hand coating the prints, making negatives for them, contact printing. So yeah, I'm moving backwards.
Oh, well, there's nothing wrong with that,
Yeah.
especially if everybody else is going forward. You're being different, right?
Yeah.
Remember those times of not even knowing what developed in the camera until you got back?
You had to know what you were doing back then,
Or shoot a lot of film.
or shoot a lot of film. Yeah.
If you've never been to Killarney, you've never seen it, how would you convince someone to go?
Besides watching videos,
Derek watches videos. There you go.
shameless promotion. I don't know, it takes your breath away. Oh, I thought of this metaphor the other day. Killarney is the holy trinity of provincial parks, meaning that it has this perfect union between rock, water, and trees.
It's true. If you look at Temagami, well, it's water and trees, and it's rock too. But the rock is different in Killarney.
It's very prominent in Killarney.
Yeah, the Cloche Mountains. If you don't
Yeah.
know, it's all quartzite, which is white, white and pink
and
black.
pink granite.
Yeah, yeah, and it meets the granite. In fact, there's a part on it where the Laurentian Mountains stop,
Yep.
and the Cloche Mountains begin.
Yep.
You can split right down the middle. I want to go back. We should be there right now, man.
And it's warm enough for it.
Yeah, I know. This is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good thing we have whiskey and a fire.
Yeah.
All right, the other thing I've noticed in your films throughout, there's a spiritual feel to it.
I've heard an expression that sheds a bit of light on the experience of a multi-day hike. You can't take the grim out of pilgrimage. The word pilgrimage is defined as a journey, especially a long one, made to some sacred place as an act of religious devotion. I can't say for certain that there was a religious devotion as cause for our trip, but the experience did feel sacred.
A tad.
Yeah. No, I'm not talking about like a Christian religious feel to it, a spiritual feel to it. And is that intentional or?
It's not so much intentional as in I'm just trying to be true to myself. I don't like when people preach, and I don't like when people sort of deny who they are. So I try to meet a happy balance, and if I can quote what I heard on a film that I watched for the first time a long time ago, Water Walker by Bill Mason.
I know the moment. This is great.
He shares a bit of a frustration, and I won't be able to say it word for word, but the gist of it is when he talks to his Christian circles about the films that he's making, they all complain that he doesn't preach enough. When he talks about his films with his Whitewater cronies, I think that's what he called them, they said, nice films, but you could do without the spirituality lesson. And he said, you just can't please them all. So, not that I try to do that, but that's kind of how I view it, is I just try to be myself.
Well, isn't that what you're supposed to do? I mean, wouldn't you just say, I don't know if you, I can't see you getting any negative on your reviews for that, and if they are negative, they're silly people. But so then tell them not to watch it.
Am I allowed to be sarcastic?
Well, everybody's allowed to be sarcastic. Isn't it?
I don't. That might hurt their feelings.
Oh, I've got through that too, where I don't
kidding.
want to. No, I don't want to hurt their feelings too. But sometimes
I'm
you just
kidding.
have to. They're blind of what they're saying.
Yep.
Right. They're. But yeah.
I figured that if they have a real issue with it, they'll contact me. Otherwise, they're just shooting off the mouth.
Yeah. So it doesn't really matter. Yeah. It's good answer actually.
Yeah.
But I do really mean by like the spiritual feel of it, like the lighting, the kids laughing, giggling, your daughter saying, "Where's the toilet paper?" in the middle of the night, that sort of thing. You want to be there. And didn't Bill Mason do the same thing? You wanted to be there in that canoe with him, going down to Lake Superior. So you're doing the same thing.
Maybe subconsciously, yes. Yeah, it's not intentional, but I guess that's part of just being who I am. I want my family to be with me because I love them, and I love sharing those moments with them. And as we talked about before, there's no one to impress out there. So we all get to be exactly who we want, including my daughter yelling out for apparently everyone to hear, "Where's the toilet paper?" Because there is no one else around.
Where's the toilet paper? Oh, we have it.
So it doesn't matter. So everyone just gets to be who they are, and there's a lot of freedom in that. And when we're out in the wild there, my kids can talk a little bit louder than normal because there's no campers in the trailer right next door to them. I'll tell you this story. Is this summer we went on a trip. I said to the kids, where do you want to go? I don't know. Where do you want to go, Dad? Well, do you want to go car camping or canoe camping? And they looked at me and said, what's car camping? So I explained that to them. I said, oh, no, definitely canoe trip. I don't want people next to me. That's what they said.
Well, imagine growing up having that feeling. That'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
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 Now, the last question. Now, when I looked at inside your B&B, lovely,
Yeah.
lovely place. And there's 2 rooms when you go up. One is Mason, so I'm gathering that's why it's called the Mason Wing.
Mason Suite.
Yeah, Bill Mason. The other one is Adam. Now, is that the photographer?
Yes, that's Ansel Adams. So both those guys were very, very inspiring to me as an artist and as people generally as well. There's great satisfaction in doing hard things. The fact that a hike is difficult is what makes it so satisfying. Ansel Adams, the famous American photographer, observed, "There are no shortcuts to endurance. You have to train yourself to make peace with the long route every day, and do it and love where it is taking you." And they made me want to photograph, film, canoe. I haven't written. Well, that's not true. I write scripts, but made me want to write. And you have people in those lives, even though you never met them, they can still be an inspiration. Yeah.
Yeah, I never met Bill Mason.
No.
I know his family well.
Yeah.
I've never met him personally, but I got canoeing and taught myself how to canoe by going to the library and watching his films from National Film Board.
So yeah, in a small sense, I don't have any delusions of inspiring millions of people out there, but if I inspire 1 or 2 people, that's good enough for me.
Well, cheers on that. You
Yep.
inspired me. I thought that was a loon, but
No, it's the cops.
That's the police. We're not in the wilderness. It's a facade. He is pretty close to Bancroft, which is great for your place. Because like you are thinking that you're in Algonquin until that happens.
Now, we don't hear any of those noises unless it's sirens. Or the loons.
Yeah, the loons. Yeah. Sometimes
Yes.
the loons overpower the sirens.
Yeah, and by the loons, I don't mean our neighbors.
Oh, okay. The neighbors aren't
The
watching.
birds.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
And check out Daryl's YouTube. I'll put it down here. And Cedarhaus.
CedarHouse Bed and Breakfast.
Oh, yeah, and the bed and breakfast.
Yeah. Or CedarHouse Films.
Cedarhouse Films, bed and breakfast, and you'll announce when your show is starting.
Yeah. We have a Facebook page for CedarHouse Films. It'll be announced.
Okay. If not, Scott will do it for you. Because it seems I think Scott does a lot more than he's saying.
He does a lot more behind the scenes than people realize. Yeah. Thanks, Scott.
Cut!
For some of us, being out here is a way to restore our souls. For others, it is a means to shake up the very core of our being. In the quiet and stillness of wilderness, there is a voice that calls to us, a veil lifted from our mind's eyes. I am in desperate need of a shower, yet I have never felt so clean. I am at peace here. I am home because I see and hear my Maker, the creator of both heaven and earth, and the beauty of this wilderness that surrounds me.
For this whiskey chat, a big thanks goes out to my sponsors, my friends, Explorer Magazine, Canadian Outdoor Equipment, Recreational Barrel Works, Adventure Medical Kits, Nova Craft Canoe, Badger Paddles, and Algonquin Outfitters. Thanks, everyone.